Hello everybody, welcome back to another True Review. I am of course True, your Million G Gamer. Welcome back to the channel, and today I'm bringing you North on the Xbox One. It's published by Sometimes You and is made by Outland Games. Now the game description says, in North you play as a man who applies for asylum in a city filled with strange creatures and strange customs, dealing with the issue of the contemporary refugee crisis while at the same time being deeply rooted in a classical cyberpunk atmosphere a la Blade Runner. North features a dark synthpop soundtrack, a sprawling megacity, and weird-like monster inhabitants. The gameplay is very straightforward and mostly consists of exploration and simple puzzles. The main difficulty is to understand what you have to do in order to get asylum. You come from a foreign land in the south and find yourself lost and confused. The confusion you convey through letters to your sister back home, an important part of the gameplay. These letters help you understand your tasks, and while at the same time moving the narrative of the game forward. So North is best described after you've played it as a walking simulator with a little bit of puzzle solving and one particular notable level what you could call action gameplay. Now the immediate striking thing when you boot North up is that it's just damn ugly. I mean, you're the first location of this so-called sprawling megacity, which a la Blade Runner, remember, bear this in mind, is a bleak black and white environment where you have a couple of mailboxes which perform an annoying function which I'll get into a little bit later, and several doors. You have a door for a lift, a door to a church, a door to a workplace, and a door to your home. Now the way the game progresses is you may enter a location or interact with an object, and then you'll get a letter icon which appears on the bottom of your screen, and that means you've got a letter that you've wrote to your sister and you need to post it in the mailbox. Then you have to run to the mailbox, deposit it in the box, and usually then get a written letter. And that letter usually gives you a clue of what you need to do next. Like, it may suggest you have to, like, to get up the lift, you have to be a worker. So obviously to open the lift, you need to go to the workplace. You go to the church, for example, and you can't really do anything in the freaky church, which is a completely white area with weird creatures in with a giant eyeball at the front. You get to the front and it says you can't convert to their religion because you have to be seen. Then a letter to your sister, after trudging back to the mailbox, would suggest you have to be seen in front of all the security cameras around the city. So the letters really form the guidance in the game of what you need to do next. So it's pretty straightforward in that regard. The biggest annoyance is that not all of the locations have mailboxes, and whilst the game's not huge in any way, it's a very small, confined game. It's just I just still found it very annoying having to trudge back to the mailboxes every time I wanted to post a letter to see what I had to do next. But the game then progresses where you go into his home. You look like you're living in a slum of a house with quite a few other refugees who are also down in the look there. One of them's just rocking backwards and forwards in the bed, and the other one's banging his head against the wall, and the final one just staring bleakly at photographs, presumably of his family, of his loved ones. We don't really know, because other than the letters, every other bit of communication in the game is done through weird ciphers and noises, so there's no actual direct verbal communication, which is, like I say, a little bit odd, since the letters to your sister are in, plain English. But then you basically have to figure out what to do next through the letters, and it's not rocket science, if I'm honest with you. It is very, very straightforward. You go to the workplace, which contains the game's real only action sequence, which is a very bizarre one. You enter the mine area and you have to, and it doesn't explain this to you, by the way, very well at all. You enter the mine area, which is pretty lethal to you. You've drunk this special sauce or liquid or whatever, which gives you some limited resistance to it, and you have to basically run to the left, activate a button, collect something, run to the right, do the same, run to the centre area, do the same, get back out, feed this monster, and then you're a worker, which lets you go up into the lift, which lets you access other areas of the game, such as the police station, the immigration office, and the medical facility on the 3rd floor. And that's pretty much me describing every single location within this actual game itself. So it's just a case of getting the letter icon to appear, posting the letter, figuring out where it wants you to go next, and going there and solving the, again, puzzle. But puzzle is not really the right term to use, simply because the letters basically tell you what to do, and it is a very, very linear game as well, so there's no really deviation and no real way to explore different avenues of solving so-called problems. But the guy's ultimate aim is to become a citizen of the north, as he's travelled from the south, which from the letters you kind of get the gist that the north and south don't get along. They maybe have even been at war with one another at some point, or maybe currently. It's not very clear there. There is a little bit of a twist at the end where I won't go into it, but there's a little bit of a twist at the end where you actually do succeed in your task of becoming a citizen of the north, and then you really question yourself as a player, not for the individual. You actually question yourself as a player, was it actually all worth it? In terms of runtime, you're looking at a very, very quick playthrough. I mean, even the opening text of the game says it will maybe take you an hour on your first attempt. If you go for a second playthrough, you could probably rattle through it in little as 20 minutes. Turning to the graphics are horrible in this game. They're very basic first-person graphics, nothing really of any note. The character models are basic, look like basic kind of stock assets kind of things there. Apologies to the developer if they're not stock assets, but they've got that kind of that look to them, that kind of unfinished appearance to them. You've basically got two types of creature. You've got this kind of weird husk kind of creature who's like more humanoid, and you've got these big slimy gelatinous blobs, which are quite amusing when you first bump into them, especially in the elevator. I was like, what the hell are these guys? But yeah, graphically it's not impressive, especially when it described itself as a Blade Runner cyberpunk. I was expecting some kind of like neon lights, some kind of metropolis or something, but the game is so small and the location's so limited, you don't get any impression of scope from this location, from this city at all. And in fact, there doesn't seem to be any other avenues of escape from this area, so it's like, how the hell did he get into this area in the first place? Musically, the game probably has its strongest point. It does have a brilliant synth soundtrack, which does remind me of some cheesy sci-fi films and works really well with the tone of the game, and fits with moments of tension and moments of questioning what to do after you've read one of your sister's letters. Turning to the gameplay itself, it's just, like I say, it's very basic. It's basically go to A, get a letter icon, go to post a letter, tells you to go to B, do whatever task it tells you, rinse, repeat, till you've completed the game in about an hour on your first playthrough. Now, that's pretty much it. There's very little interaction. It's just basically follow the map that the game's laid down for you, and try and make sense of the story and enjoy the story. But because there's no direct verbal communication between you and any character in the game, you do get a severe disconnect with the character, and I didn't really personally care for him at all. So is this worth buying? Bear in mind it is getting $3.99, which these games published by Sometimes You seem to be priced at the moment. North, I would say no, unfortunately. The story's just very bland. There's not an awful lot of interaction to do. There's no charm to it at all, other than great synth music, and if you're an achievement hunter, it's a very, very easy 1000 gamer score. Other than the gamer score, there's no reason to really buy this game, if I'm honest with you. It's just too simplistic, not enough innovation to it, and it's damn ugly to boot. So unfortunately, I'm going to give North, the Award of Disaster, which is my new term for avoiding the game. Don't buy it, it's just not worth it, even $3.99, unless you are an achievement hunter. That is the only reason to really experience North. So thanks everybody for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.